Well, hello, Ioachim Stroe, who's talking to us from
Hello.
Bucharest, Romania. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you. It's very nice to meet you, to talk to you.
Is that a poster for Clockwork Orange behind you?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is.
We are talking about your film, EXTRASEZON. But before we get to directing, you are a prominent editor and also producer in Romanian cinema, which is amazing, has been amazing for a couple of decades, even more so, with Cristian Munghiu and Porumbiu and Pui and Adina Pintilie. Tell us where you are in that universe. You've worked with a lot of those people, right?
Yeah, I guess I was very lucky to finish. I finished film editing in Bucharest, and I was very lucky to be in the same age, more or less, as all these people that you talked about. I mean, I know Porumboiu from film school. Adina Pintilie also. We know each other from film school. Cristi Puiu, I met. He's a bit older than I am, but and he didn't do film school in Bucharest. He did film school in Switzerland, if I remember. And but I met him just through the same people. Because it's a very small film community in Romania, and everything is centered in Bucharest, because Romania, that's how Romania is. Like most of the stuff happens in Bucharest. And I guess I was very lucky to be in the same, to finish with them film school. And then I was lucky to start working with them. The first thing I did after finishing film school was I worked on a short film with Cătălin Mitulescu. It's a short film called Traffic, which won a Palme d'Or in Cannes for best short film, which was like an amazing thing for us, to do the first short film after we finished film school, just to to go to Cannes. It's an amazing thing, and then to be so lucky to win, it was just it was incredible for us. And it's that's it. It's a very small world, and it's a bit difficult because it's a bit difficult to get the financing for the films, because the budgets are very low usually, and so it's a bit difficult, and you have to do a lot of independent films, but luckily we can help each other, because most of us, we are friends, and so if someone needs my help, they just ask me, or if I need somebody's help, I'll just ask them, and we'll do it.
It's thriving cinema. It's beautiful. I've watched Romanian movies for many years, and including the festival in Sarajevo, with which I've been involved on and on. But I do want to ask you a little more specifically about short film. PRINDIE, our festival, focuses on short film, and I'm teaching a class on writing a script for short film. What is the advantage or disadvantage of making a short film? What is the value of a short film? They're hard to see in the United States except online. I mean, they do not see them in cinemas. There are few festivals, PRINDIE being one of them. But why bother, as it were? Why make a short film for you? What is it that can be accomplished that can't quite be done in a feature film?
Yeah, for me, one of the main things about the short film is that you have to be very you have to be very clear from the storytelling point of view, and everything has, because you have less time to explain things and less time to build tension, or less time to build an atmosphere, or less time to stay with a character and get to know him, or get to have this feeling of familiarity or of closeness with a certain character that you do in a feature film. The short film has to be very concise and very very well written to work for me. And it's a very interesting challenge for me. And because as an editor, I realized after finishing film school, and when I started working on as an editor on different films, short films, feature films, documentaries, I realized that editing is very close to script writing in a way. And
in what way?
Mainly the fact that editing, from my point of view, it's about storytelling. This I think that is the main thing about editing, and this is my main concern when I work on a film. My main concern is the way I tell the story, because the way I tell the story makes you, as a spectator, makes you feel the emotions of the characters, you know, and so it's very easy to, as a film editor, it's very easy to get lost in small details, you know, like how do I edit this scene to be very cool, or very, I don't know, it's very easy to get into this type of music video editing, you know,
right.
and you lose the big picture. And this is something that I found out that it's also true about script writing. You know, you have to, this is just my opinion, when you write a script, you have to have the big picture first, and then to go into the small details. Because if you start from a very small thing and just work around it and just build around a very small thing to try to build a big story, usually it doesn't work, and usually you just try to make pieces fit together, and you force them to stay in place, and it's a very shaky thing, you know. You don't have a very very solid structure. And yeah, this is about editing for me.
That's very, very sound advice. Let's talk about it is. I write scripts, but also fiction, and I believe that editing, and have taught classes on editing in writing that is in fiction writing, because I think it's crucial. It's relatively easy to generate text. I mean, there's no cost to it, unlike film. You just can type words. But so that's not hard. Writing is not hard. To turn it into a story requires editing, taking things out, putting things in, and so on.
Yeah, of course.
I absolutely agree. Yeah.
This is, I told you, I was teaching film editing in Cluj for a few years, and this one of the main things that I kept telling the students was to read script writing books. You know, watch films, yeah, of course, read a lot of books, listen to music, but also read script writing books, because script writing books teach you how to build a story, which is very important in editing.
Did you make them read scripts too?
Yeah,
scripts?
Yeah.
That's great. My students will like this. I want to talk about your film, which I like quite a bit, and it proves your point in that very quickly one is involved in storytelling. That is, there is a situation that needs a resolution, and we don't really know why the man is there and what's happening to him. And watching it the second time, I realized that I had remembered it as not being cut. that is, I didn't remember cuts because there was such fluidity and the unity of time and space. It is only upon watching it again that I saw that there were cuts, that the camera moves within the car. And then the same thing is outside too. And so from the script point of view, tell us about how you developed the story. At what point did you start shooting? Did you know everything that was going to happen when you started shooting, or did you leave some space for actors or for ideas on the set?
Well, first of all, I started this working on this film as a script writing exercise. I tried to, because I knew that we were gonna make a very low budget film, because it's a very low budget, this film. And I like very much films that are very reduced to the essence. You know, they have a very few characters, they happen in one place or stuff like that, because I think that it's you have to be very ingenious with the story, and you have to have a very powerful script for a movie like this to work. Like for instance, if you know this film Una giornata particolare with Marcello Mastroianni and Sofia Loren, which is a film that it's in only two characters most of the time, and then happens in one building. And so I knew that we were doing this very low budget film, and so I said that I'll try to reduce everything to the minimum and to see if I can make a story with just two characters, one car, one location, and just to see if you can make a 12 minutes film that can grab you and can grab your attention and can make you watch and see what happens next. So this was the main idea. And as for the second part of your question, I always try to, when I do a short film, I always try to find the middle ground, if you want, between me and the other people involved in the film. I like to, because I like this. I like to work with people for their creative input, you know, not for how good they can execute something. And even if it's not what I imagined when I was writing the script, I try to take the input from the people in the crew or from the actors, and to see if this can fit in the film, or how it can change the film or the story, and maybe it's interesting, or maybe because I think of my films mainly as a conversation that I have with people. So it's like I have some questions, or I'm thinking about something, and I gather a group of people which are most of the time are close to me, friends, and I try to have this conversation with them about this. You know, what do you think about this situation? What do you think about this character? What do you think about what would you do if you were in this situation? Would you say these lines? Would you say them differently? Would you do something else? And
would you have an example where when one of your actors talked you into making a somewhat different decision in this film?
Well, a specific example I don't have right now, but
okay.
What is but for instance, Ovidiu, the guy who plays the main character in the film, He's a very good friend of mine, and I work with him on a few short films. And I write his characters in one way, and every time when we start rehearsing, he comes with something that I didn't expect. He's mainly a theater actor, and he does a certain type of theater, and so in my first reaction is that he's a bit over the top, you know, because it's very different from what I imagined when I was writing the script. But I always do this thing. I try to take one step backwards and just watch him and see how his acting can change the character that I imagined, and how this new way that his character behaves can change the situation and can change the story. And I try to put this in my films all the time.
So has this movie been shown around festivals in Europe and elsewhere?
Yes.
What was the response?
Well, it was weird because I've been only to the screenings in TIFF in Romania.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I tried to do with this film was to make it stand out from a selection of films, you know, because usually at a film festival you see like 5 or 6 short films in a row, and most of the times I don't know, the screening is not perfect, it's weird, and you just go through all the films and you don't really remember much. I mean, maybe you remember the first film and the last because they are at the ends of the selection. And so I try to make a short film that can be as engaging and as entertaining as it can be, with all the means that we have, with music, with sound, and mainly with sound, because I've seen a lot of films in festivals, a lot of short films, and the sound is very, I don't know how to say, it's not very engaging, the soundtrack of the films.
Yeah.
And this is because, I mean, you need to have inside the film to have something that makes the soundtrack. You can't really have nothing and just have a wild.
Well, in your film, that Italian disco song "Sempre, Sempre,"
Yes.
that is brilliant. It is so unnerving and so annoying at the same time.
Yeah.
It is so real that you cannot turn off. It is the way that songs in your head sometimes just keep playing. And I was walking to my office to have an interview with you, and I had seen the movie last night, and so the song was in my hand, "Sempre, Sempre, Sempre." So that's another example. Yeah.
Yeah, this was very funny because this is something that I was talking with Anna, the actress from the film, and we were talking about the fact that they have this problem of communication. They can't hear each other, and that it has to be in a way funny. And we came up with this idea of the music, to have this music that is going non-stop. Yeah, and then it was like in half a second I knew that we should have this song, because I remember very well this type of music, because it's in Romania when during the 80s, I think, this was the kind of music that you could hear on the beach or by the sea, usually in restaurants or on the beach. It was this Italian pop music, and which also has this kind of happy, stupid, naive thing thing to it, but it can become very annoying if it just goes on and on. And what I really liked about the song is that it's a man and a female that are singing. So you have a male voice and a female voice, just like in the film. And also it's the way that the lyrics of the film kind of fall on the different moments of the story, you know, and they start to change their meaning, you know, when he says sempre sempre nella mente insistence, oh yeah, I always remember you, you're always on my mind, and it just kind of they start to mean something else.
It is a brilliant touch. I like that quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but the reaction was weird. I mean, people were mainly concerned about the story, if they figured out the story. You know? Yeah. Most of the questions were, so did he really kill her child? Like, yeah, I think he did. Oh, okay. So
sometimes short films, and even in PRINDIE, they're kind of chapters for some future feature film, right? And they can still be very, very good and as discrete narrative units, but also there's more development implied. I wonder if you have plans to develop this story in some other direction, whether to shoot more or to rewrite it or redo it and then expand it into a longer film.
Not yet. I would really like to, if I could get the opportunity to try to reshoot it, because we did it in I told you we had a very low budget and we did it in a very short time, but also this kind of gives it a rough quality, which I think that works for the film. But for me, this film, it's a part of a research that I'm doing in writing non-linear stories. Because as an editor, I worked on a lot of films, Romanian films, and if you've seen Romanian films, you know that most of them have this type of chronological storyline, and everything happens in a chronological order, and usually the stories take place during a few days or during 1 week. And so as an editor, I worked on a lot of films like this, and at one point it becomes a bit repetitive. So I was wondering about how would you build a story that it's not in a straight line, that goes to one point and then turns back and starts over, or if you have different timelines and you just jump from one to the other, or you do it like this. So in a way, this film is part of this research that I am doing on writing non-linear storylines.
So in that way, it is kind of experimental, right? You're experimenting as part of your research. Is it fair to say?
Yeah, I do. I try to do this with all my short films. I try to search, to use them as a research, or to experiment different things. You know, like,
I think what I liked about the film, among other things, is that there's a unity of space and time, but then the space is divided, right? Because they're not in the same space. They cannot communicate. They cannot leave it. And then the time is divided, because the story then flips back to her point of view, and it's the time, because the space is divided, is parallel, but it's not the same time, and opera is different. It only unites at the end. It is very, very smart, suspenseful, and
thank you very much. This is something that I am very, very interested in. I told you this thing about time not being linear and be able to go back and forward in time and to build a story like this.
So can you tell us just a bit about your next project? What are you doing next?
Well, I finished another short film, which is it's very different from this one, but it's still in my research of the non-linear storylines, because it's a short film that has 3 different timelines that go from one to the next, and they build one story. And so we did this film. We're just finishing the sound editing, the sound mixing right now. So yeah, we'll see what happens, and then I have a few more projects still for short films right now. Like this.
Great, thank you. We hope to see it at PRINDIE, and maybe one day see you. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, I'd love to.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ioachim Stroe. Good luck in your work.
Sure. Thank you very much.
And we'll talk to you again, I hope.